Welcome to Get to the Hook. I am your co-host, Charles Latty-Baudier.
And I'm your co-host, Eric Colley.
And this week we are talking about the curse. Or that's what it's been referred to often in the past. The sophomore curse. That, if you come out of the gates and you have a great album for your premiere, your debut, and then the second one goes, even if sales are good, which we'll get into that sometimes they are good, but the album itself sucks. And the reason we are talking about that, the hook, is Cardi B, who is asking the question, am I the drama? With her finally, we get the sophomore album, because it's been how many years?
Seven and a half, almost 8 years since Invasion of Privacy came out in spring of 2018. Bodak Yellow came out in the fall of 2017. That's what shocks people when they hear this is Cardi's sophomore album. They're like, no, she's been around this whole time.
She's just been dropping singles.
And partly that is why Am I the Drama, whether it goes on to be a huge album or not, it was already certified platinum because
right out the gate.
because she included her 2020 hit WAP and her 2021 hit Up on this album. All the sales from those songs are now factored into this album, and that has already made it a platinum record.
That
song's
like
5 years old.
It feels like a cheat, but
why not?
Why not?
Those songs have never been on an album because they came out after Invasion of Privacy.
Every artist games the system somehow, especially in pop. So, all right, she's working it.
She is.
Now, so technically, the lead single would have been WAP, right?
Technically, in 2020, I guess that was the lead single. The one that she kind of started the official rollout when she was really actually going to release the album this time, which she's been talking about for years, was this song. This is Outside.
On the pop outside, 'cause it's hot out. You was playing games, and you on timeout.
And there's another new song on the album called Safe featuring Kehlani that's getting a lot of traction, so that'll probably be the next song they push. Summer Walker's on the album. Lizzo re-sings the chorus to Four Non Blonde's What Up?
Really?
song What's Going On. Janet Jackson gets a feature credit on the album.
What did
I
they
was
sample?
so excited because I was like, oh, did Janet actually get on the song? Then I saw the name of the song is Principle. I'm like, no,
So
it's a sample
of Pleasure Principle.
It's a sample of Pleasure Principle, but still.
But that's
cool.
a good sample to pull there.
Yeah, and Janet gets a feature credit, so that's cool. So will this album be as big as Invasion of Privacy? Right now, first week projections, I've seen some say maybe 150,000 units first week, but that doesn't factor in necessarily all the copies she sold on her web store. She sold a bunch of versions, signed versions. I think the sales are going to be a lot bigger the first week. And Invasion of Privacy back in 2018 opened with 255,000 copies. So she could get close to that again.
She probably will get close to it. But I guess the bigger question for the purposes of this episode, is it as good of an album? And I haven't heard all of it yet.
I haven't heard all of it. I've listened to a good chunk of it. It's kind of the same.
It starts to sound.
No, not.
Like
I mean, it's not better or worse.
Gotcha.
It's just these are Cardi B songs.
Right.
I don't think. Oh man, she really just fell off, and I don't think this is so much better. It's like, oh, these are.
It sounds like
20 more Cardi B songs.
Right.
It's kind of what it sounds like to me. And she's, her fans obviously love it. People who don't like her, particularly Nicki Minaj fans, because there's still that beef between them. I've seen Nicki fans online being like, oh, Cardi flopped. Cardi fans are like, oh, just wait till the numbers come in. She's bigger than ever.
I don't think they realize the more they say that, the more they're encouraging people to go listen to it.
Exactly.
To see if they think it flopped or not, and you're just giving her more numbers then.
I mean, the thing for Cardi B, and maybe that's the good thing for her taking so long to release this, it's not like, oh, she's just going to be remembered for Invasion of Privacy. She's been a huge star for almost a decade now. And a lot of that is her personal drama, which is why the album's called Am I the Drama? But, all this stuff with Offset and now with Stefon Diggs. She's got her fourth kid on the way. Mm-hmm. She's launching a tour next year.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Just settled a lawsuit. There's always drama around Cardi, and people are always interested in that. Even if the hits dry up and she's not a big music star anymore, which I don't think is going to happen anytime too soon, she's famous for the rest of her life if she chooses
She's
to be.
famous, and people listen to everything she says and does, and
she's
they pay
entertaining.
attention to it. Yeah, she's very entertaining. So there wasn't as much pressure, I guess, on her for this album to be that, because she's, like you said, she's established herself as far as celebrity. But if the album was, I guess, if it is just as good as her debut, then that's a win for her, right? As long as it's not falling off the cliff where people go
I
like...
definitely don't think it's falling off a cliff. I think the cultural zeitgeist has changed a bit since 2017, 2018. And music has changed a bit. She's almost like a legacy act at this point.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's been so long. But like you said, she's beyond that.
Right.
It's not like her career is going to be over no matter what. And she might not even want to do music after this. If it took her this long to make the second album, who knows when the third could ever potentially come, if
Yeah.
it ever comes.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what we're gonna get into today with these sophomore albums. Like you said, usually it's considered the sophomore curse, the sophomore slump, the sophomore jinx. Usually not a good connotation for
Yeah.
people's second albums when you blow up with the first. But Cardi, there's a couple ways this could go. We're gonna look at some artists whose second album propelled them through the stratosphere. Those artists who their second album was the end of their career. And then the reasons why. Some took too long to get a second album, which could have been Cardi's problem.
Yep.
Doesn't seem like it is. Some artists didn't wait long enough. Some deliberately sabotaged their careers. There's more of those.
Ooh,
than
I
you would
want to hear
think.
about those.
And then there's some who never got to make a second album, or the second album was the final.
Oh,
Sometimes it's tragic. Sometimes it's not. They just didn't.
just didn't do it.
Just didn't. So let's get into the ones, and this is what maybe Cardi's aspiring to here. Artists who were successful with their first album, and then just the second album took them to a whole other level. Back in 2008, do you remember who won the Best New Artist Grammy? She won in 2009 for 2008.
Best New Artist Grammy 2008.
The British singer.
Amy Winehouse?
That was the year before.
Oh, Adele.
It was Adele.
That's right. Or they've been back to back. That's right.
Adele's debut album, 19, was a big hit album. Her song Chasing Pavements was a big hit, more so in the UK than America, but still it was a hit here. She won the Best New Artist Grammy. People were just raving about her voice. She could have been a one-album wonder there. Then, of course, 2011, she drops her sophomore album, 21, and what you really need to have in the chamber there is an undeniable killer single. That's going to set the tone for everything.
She definitely had
She
it.
definitely did with this, Rolling in the Deep. I mean, you heard that the first time, and you're like, okay,
Right.
this is something.
Yeah, that's when you have a single on there that becomes like sort of the song that you almost always close your shows with.
Yeah.
Then you know you did something
Yeah.
there. That whole really, and she's continued to do it. I don't, all three of her albums have been. Is it four
now? Four.
Four, right?
Three since 19. It was what, 19, 21, 25, and 30. Because it's
Did
always
she do 30?
yeah. That's the
I
one
guess
that had
yes, that's right.
Easy on Me.
Why am I totally missed that one.
Hello
Wow.
was the first single
Right.
from the third album. Easy on Me just sounded like an Adele song.
Oh yeah, that's right.
it was a big hit.
It was
yeah.
a hit, but
21. I mean, 24 weeks it was number one on the album chart. 3 number one singles off of it. One of the best-selling, most beloved, celebrated albums of all time. When that's your second album, you're good.
now you've established yourself. When you have a strong debut and then that second one is even way better, now you've established yourself.
Yeah.
That's
Other people who did that, Madonna. I think people forget her debut self-titled
Yeah.
album had Holiday, Borderline, Lucky Star. Those were big hits. Then she dropped that sophomore album, Like a Virgin, with that title song, and then she was Madonna. Then
Yeah.
Material Girl, it was just so perfectly done. Even Justin Timberlake, I know people don't love him so much anymore necessarily. Not counting NSYNC, which is a little bit of a cheat,
Mhm.
I know, but his first album, Justified, had Cry Me a River. It was a big album. Then Future Sex Love Sounds comes out. And if you were around in 2006, you remember the first time you heard Sexy Back. It was just like, what is this?
yeah. It was
It was catchy, but it was not.
catchy, but it was different and
And it was sort of a precursor to all the Lady Gaga kind of stuff that was going to come in the next couple of years. Katy Perry. Somebody else whose sophomore album, her first album had I Kissed a Girl on it.
right.
Big hit. Hot and Cold was on it. Then Teenage Dream comes out and
Yeah.
kind of overshadowed
It-
the rest of her career. But,
Exactly. Yeah.
but still,
Yeah,
she got, you have that hype and that momentum.
But you establish yourself as you'll always be able to pack a show.
Yeah.
An arena.
You can do the 2 albums, then even if the third and fourth and fifth don't do as well, doesn't matter.
Right.
You are set at that point. You're not just the one album wonder that just dropped off and it's like, oh, what happened to that person?
It really does only take 2 great albums.
That's all you need. I mean,
It's enough
sometimes
to-
all you need is one, but
Yeah. So
we'll get to some of those. But,
yeah.
but some people, they come out of the gate really hot, and you think, and maybe that's the problem too. There are lots of people who had one hit album and then disappeared, and kind of nobody cared. They felt like a one hit wonder. But there's those people that you thought, oh, this person's going to be around and they're going to be a big thing, and then they just weren't. And there's all kinds of different reasons. I'm going to hit a more recent one. what a lot of people thought was going to be the future of rap in this decade, in the 2020s, was Roddy Ricch. Remember him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
End of 2019, he releases his album, Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial. Album debuts at number 1. January of 2020, right as we were about to hit the pandemic, his biggest hit, number 1 for 11 weeks. It was sort of the soundtrack of the pandemic for a while until The Weeknd's Blinding Lights. And it's so funny, this song got big. There's not even really a chorus to it. It's just him saying "e-er," a high-pitched "e-er," looped over and over and over. It was oppressively catchy. Like, you couldn't get it out of your
very
head.
catchy, though. It did make me think, where are we going? Where are we
It goes,
going?
"E-er." If you don't remember it, I don't know how you couldn't. This is Roddy Ricch, The Box.
Getting out the coupe at the lot. Tony fuck 12, fuck SWAT. Busting all the bells out the box. I just hit a lick with the box. Had to put the stick in the box.
But it's brilliant because you don't forget it. But
Was that, by the way, is that just a vocal
yeah,
that they
that's him.
just looped? Just
Yeah, he just jumped in the booth and added that. And
I will say, from an engineering standpoint, it's pretty brilliant because it's the
it's that little
thing that's underneath that you keep hearing. Like, what is it? That's
It starts off with it, so you notice it, and then it kind of just mixes into the beat. So if you're listening for it, it's there, but you can kind of tune it out. And that was the thing for Roddy Ricch. That could have been a novelty, but people thought he was a really good rapper.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a good flow. He's going to be this big thing. And he was huge that year. He turned up on songs in the next couple of years by Kendrick Lamar, Post Malone, DaBaby, Gunna, Pop Smoke, Nipsey Hussle. He had all these songs, all these
you get invited onto those songs because of what you
had
did,
this
and that
moment.
people saw you as like visionary. Like, I got to have this guy on.
And you don't usually see a lot of one-hit wonders in rap anymore because once you break through, like we said, you jump on tracks by other people. Fans will come out and check out and see what else you got to say. And it seemed like he was so big. And that was all through 2020. And then 2021, he releases his sophomore album, Live Life Fast. And it wasn't that it was a bad album, or it wasn't that there was any controversy. It's like everyone collectively just decided, no, we're not into this. And he never really recovered for the numbers.
Was that based on expectations and that it wasn't
I honestly,
different enough? Like, what?
it just seemed like it just was a non-event. And maybe it's the pandemic ending. Maybe once people got out of quarantine.
Yeah.
You know, like there's all the stories, and I'm not trying to reduce Roddy Ricch to this, but you know, you heard all the stories about people who got pets in the pandemic because they were lonely. Then they went back to work and they're like, oh, I don't want this anymore. And they dumped it at a shelter. Roddy Ricch was kind of like that. Like, everybody
Roddy
was
Ricch got
blasting the
sent
box.
to the hip hop shelter? Is that what
Kind
you're
of.
trying to say?
People were listening to him all through the quarantine, and then they got back out and they're like, now we're over that guy. Or maybe he reminded them of quarantine, and that just became depressing.
It could also just be what else came out at that time, right? I mean, sometimes
But I don't know that anybody eclipsed him.
was there something else that was just like
For
a bigger
comparison,
buzz at that point?
The debut album, Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial, was number 1 for 4 weeks, spent 128 weeks on the Billboard 200. The follow-up album debuted at number 4, which is not too bad. Number 1, number 4, spent 10 weeks on the chart.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is a
That's-
sound
That
rejection.
is quite a drop-off. We're talking about Justin Timberlake being from a boy band who launched into a huge solo career. We thought the same thing was going to happen with One Direction, and I'm not talking about Harry Styles, who obviously has had an incredible career.
Sure.
Remember Zayn?
Yeah.
Zayn Malik, his bandmate, who was the first to leave One Direction, was the first to go solo. His debut album goes to number 1. His first single, Pillow Talk, debuts at number 1. He beat Harry Styles to the punch, and it's like, oh, this guy's going to be the star. Then not. That was 2016. By 2018, you skip 2 years, his sophomore album was called Icarus Falls, which is an unfortunate
Ooh.
title.
Oh, you should not have made that the title.
First album debuted at number 1. Icarus Falls debuted at number 61.
I mean,
His third album in 2021 was called Nobody Is Listening. So it seemed like he kind of realized.
Wait, but both titles are like self-prophetic. What are you doing?
I don't know.
How about an album title like "We're Back"? On top again. I don't.
Yeah, we'll just call your album Y'all Don't Care.
Yeah.
I know y'all don't care. Zayn, I will say, I remember reading, I think he had a lot of issues with public life. He didn't like touring.
Yeah.
And there are celebrities who don't feel comfortable being in public like that, having their personal life dissected, and he had a whole lot of personal drama with his relationships. Maybe that sort of impacted him, because if you're not really going to tour or you don't want to be out there, people will lose interest.
I guess
mean, he
not.
did a duet with Taylor Swift from the 50
That
Shades
was
Darker soundtrack.
Right.
Like, he was top of the world for a year, 2 years, and then it was just over.
That's sad. It's sad. But what's clear is that there was something going through. I mean, how the label doesn't step in and say, "Hey, maybe the Icarus falls, you go like, okay, all right, we'll let it go. But by the time you get to the third one, you got to step in and go like, no, we're not naming.
Nobody's listening.
Nobody's listening.
Yeah, you can't call it
We're
that.
not doing that.
I don't care if it's true or not. You're not going to call it that.
Boy.
Some other people, they just seem so big. You remember this one, Tiffany. I Think We're Alone Now.
Oh, she was huge.
Could have been 2 #1 hits. Her debut album was huge, brought teen pop back in a big way. Then you had Debbie Gibson, New Kids on the Block, all that. That was in 87, 88. Later in 88, she released her second album, Hold an Old Friend's Hand. That's it.
I don't
Dropped
recall.
The hit
anything.
single from it was a song called Could Have Been.
Ballad.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, not Could Have Been. That was in the first album, All This Time. Where she's
Okay.
like, what will I do?
Yeah,
now
another
all this
ballad
time?
kind of, yeah.
It made the top 10, dropped off pretty quickly.
But the
Second
album
single,
just
number
didn't-
35. The album, number 17.
And then we heard nothing
That was
from
it.
her.
She realized her moment had passed. And within 2 years, she blew up. #1 hits, huge tour. She was the talk of the industry. And then people were like, you're yesterday's news. Sad.
That is sad, but I mean, if she
And
accepted
she wasn't even
it,
20 yet, I don't think.
I know. Like, wow.
Go through all that by the time you were old enough to drink.
I wonder how much of that is, and she's probably talked about this somewhere, but how much of that was the label telling her you're over, you're done, you had your moment, or her just feeling like it's not there? Because music at that point was changing a lot, and if
It
you
was.
couldn't change along with it, then
I don't think she even got the chance to change with it.
yeah.
Because, I mean, literally the first album came out in 87, the second one in 88, and nobody cared anymore. The one person who had a really good attitude about it, and that's why I'm mentioning this one particularly, because he had success with his second album. It just wasn't as big as the first. Christopher Cross.
I mean,
I just saw him in concert like last month.
right.
And it was everybody, and it wasn't as old of a crowd as I thought it was going to be. I
Really?
mean, it wasn't like a Gen Z crowd for sure, but it skewed younger than I thought it was going to. Because he played with Men at Work and Toto, and I think Toto's Africa, being such a viral song in the past 10
Right.
years, maybe drew in a younger audience. But I remember telling my wife, we were there, and everybody was just singing along to these Christopher Cross songs. I'm like, how cool that you made an album 45 years ago that you can still perform and people will still show up and be excited to hear it. Even if you didn't have the career you thought you'd have.
Right.
You had that moment because his debut album
Enormous.
sold a lot of copies, a bunch of hit songs. He won and
won
Billie
all the
Eilish
Grammys.
are the only 2 people in history to get Best New Artist, Song of the Year, Record of the Year, and Album of the Year in one night. Only 2 people have ever done that. And that's a lot of pressure on a new artist.
Yeah.
Billie Eilish has adapted to it okay. And like Billie Eilish, Christopher Cross also won an Oscar.
That's
for
right.
Arthur's Theme, Best That You Can Do,
Wow.
which was a
I
one-off
didn't realize
single.
how parallel their
Well, to a point.
initial success was.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, so he has his first album is huge. Then the following year, he releases this soundtrack song that goes to #1, wins him an Oscar. 1983, his sophomore album, Another Page, comes out. And the first single from it was a song called All Right, debuted on the Hot 100 at number 29, which nowadays doesn't sound like that big a deal.
That's
It
pretty
was-
big.
That was a huge debut in 1983. Thriller, for context, debuted at number 20 when it finally got released
Okay.
as a single. So this was like, the pent-up demand for the sophomore
Everybody
album.
wanted to hear
Christopher
Christopher
Cross.
Cross.
Debuted at 29, stalled at number 12. Like, to debut
See,
that
but you
high
say-
and not
see,
go
but
top
you say
10.
stalled at 12. Like a top 20 hit, especially
Yeah, but when
12 is-
when you start at 29 back then, which was much harder to do, it seemed like a guaranteed #1.
right.
It
And
was
I'm
just like,
sure for him it felt like less than
How did I not even make the top
successful,
10?
but
It's a catchy song. This is Christopher Cross, All Right.
Cause it's alright, think we're gonna make it. Think it might just work out this time.
And Justice for That. That's a good song.
by the way, Michael McDonald on backup vocals, I think.
I don't know if he was on that one. I think it was on Ride Like the Wind and another song on the first
I
record.
think he was on that one.
Might have been.
But anyway,
But the reason I wanted to bring up Christopher Cross, I have always loved this quote. I read this a long time ago. The night, or like right before those Grammys in 1981, when he swept and had a historic night. So he didn't even know that yet. He did an interview with Billboard, and they were kind of asked about the sophomore curse and
Yeah.
what if this is it for you? Which it wasn't it, but it was close to it. And this is what he said to him. He said, if it stops right now and my second album comes out and goes down the tubes and I'm forgotten, which I don't think he's forgotten.
no.
But he
definitely-
said, I can still be on my deathbed and say, I put out an album that went double platinum and had a #1 single and I was up for 5 Grammys. Now, what did you do? That's
You know
a
what?
good way to look
good
at
attitude. Good
it. I
attitude.
was like, you know what? I admire that, Christopher Cross.
Yeah, and like you said, he didn't. The rest of
He
his
didn't
career
disappear.
wasn't that, but he didn't disappear, and people Like,
People still
you
go
just
see
went to
him.
go see him a few weeks ago. So
And people were very into it. When he did Ride Like the Wind, he was like, my good friend Michael McDonald did the backing vocals on this, but he's not here tonight, so I need you guys to sing his part. And everybody at the
Great.
forum in LA was,
were they on point?
well, what's
Were
funny
they on
about it.
key? Let's put it that
Yeah,
way.
surprisingly. But what's funny is it was like 10,000 or however many people doing their Michael McDonald impression.
Right. That was
'Cause you can't just sing.
that's the
normal.
concern.
Make it to the border of Mexico. I mean, imagine all these people from like their 20s and 30s up into like their 70s doing that.
Oh
Because
man.
What else are you gonna do? So some of these artists, like those artists, for whatever reasons, it just kind of ended for them. There are those artists who deliberately kind of sabotaged. their
So
second albums.
there's someone I'm thinking of, and I don't know if he falls in the category we just did or the one you're about to do, which is
Who you think?
they intentionally did it. And I don't know the story about his second album. What? Terrence Trent D'Arby.
I knew you were going to bring up Terrence Trent
Uh-huh.
D'Arby. He deliberately got kind of weird. If you don't remember Terrence Trent D'Arby, who is now Sananda Maitreya, I think he changed his name to years and years ago, did the song "Wishing Well." I mean, that's a classic. That is a great song. "Sign Your Name," what a
Wishing Well,
beautiful
Sign Your
song. That Dance
Name.
Little Sister. His second album just massively, massively dropped off a cliff commercially, and I don't think he wanted that. Although he was kind of a weird artist. Like he always tried to do different things.
Right.
The thing that did him in was he bragged about himself too much. How he was the second coming of the Beatles. He was better than Michael Jackson. He was better than
Like-
Prince. I'm this new guy.
A little bit
I'm
of
the
the swagger
greatest.
was really cool,
It was too much.
and it went too far.
And then he started apologizing for it. And like, no, that I was just jokey and being like,
Yeah.
making a self-deprecating thing. And people just weren't having it. They were like, who does this guy think he is? And it just kind of took him down. It seems silly now, but
Cancel culture.
kind of. He got canceled for the things he said back in the 80s. I don't think he did it deliberately. I don't think he
Right.
realized.
It was just a
Especially-
miscalculation.
And I think it was an interview he did in the UK, and this was pre-internet. So who even thought anybody in America would know about it?
Yeah.
But it got picked up over here, and the narrative just became that he was this, self-aggrandizing jerk who just
Right.
thought he was greater than he was because he had one hit song or two hit songs, which is unfair because he was incredibly talented and had so much more to say. I wish he had been a bigger star.
Yeah, I'd like
in
to
the 90s.
be in the parallel universe where Terrence Trent D'Arby went on to make like 4 more albums. And
Well, he did make them.
well, sorry, where he had 4 more albums that I heard.
yeah, that's the thing. He did have some good later songs. His song "Delicate," it was a good song in the '90s. Now, some of the artists, not so much deliberate sabotage, but Alanis Morissette. And I know technically "Jagged Little Pill" was her third album. She did those 2 dance pop records in Canada, not even released in America. So, from the American point
The
of view,
American point of view.
that was her debut album, and that's how I'm going to treat this. So sorry, Canadians. "Jagged Little Pill" was not just a success. That was a
Game changer.
It was a phenomenon. It was
Yeah.
a cultural behemoth. And the funny thing is, you remember the Rolling Stone cover with her picture where it said like angry young female, and she was the angry girl.
Yeah.
Outside of You Ought to Know, it was
Right.
not an angry album.
Definitely
at
was
all.
not at all. Like
Not
when,
who she was.
when you heard You Ought to Know, you're like, wow, this sound is like, and then you listen to the whole album, it was like
Head over
Quite-
feet.
quite different.
And-
quite
yeah.
quite different.
And it's just, and as we've seen over the years, because she will always be famous. She will always be Alanis Morissette. She seems like a pretty chill person.
Hmm.
She is not the avatar of anger and spite.
Not at all. That
No.
song is a standout. I mean, but all the others, I guess what it does have in common was just being very catchy, but they were catchy in different ways. But
Yeah.
almost every song on that album.
Ironic has nothing to do
was.
with being angry. Hand in My Pocket doesn't.
No.
Head Over Feet, none of those songs. So after all the massive whirlwind success of that album, she went to India for a while to kind of just
Chill out.
chill out. Not,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say like sort her life out. I don't think she was in a bad space, but just sort of reset. And, made her kind of chill. And so her second album in '98 was Supposed Former Infatuation Junkie, which that title right there was going to put a lot of people off. The lead single, Thank You, was a hit just because it was going to be. It was,
Right.
People were just waiting for it.
But I do remember hearing the song and going like,
It was very mellow.
Not even that it was mellow. It just wasn't. I don't know. Like even the other songs on Jagged Little Pill seemed to like say more.
Yeah.
Even like the upbeat ones. And Thank You, I was like,
Kind of came and went.
yeah.
It was like a little meditation thing, and that album was not meant to be Jagged Little Pill. I think she smartly realized, I'm never going to recreate that moment. That was something that can't happen again. And would you even want it to? Because,
Yes. Why not?
No, because look, I've always heard the story when Michael
Really?
Jackson.
Michael Jackson didn't want.
No, he did. That's the problem. When he recorded Bad, which was a hugely successful album, there's a story that he had a sign above the recording studio that said 100 million because he thought he could
Right.
sell 100 million albums, which is more than twice as many as what Thriller did, which is the best-selling album in worldwide history. And I think he was chasing Thriller the rest of his life. He was obsessed with it. Like, I've got to be bigger.
Yeah.
I've got to be this. And it's like, you don't have to. You can make
But-
a really
but
good
if you-
album
but here's the
without
thing.
being the biggest thing ever.
Agreed. Bad was not Thriller, but because he was aiming for 100 million, then you get Bad as being a really great album.
But it was seen
It's
as a
not
disappointment,
Thriller.
and it
It's
sold
not
25
Thriller.
million.
Right. It's not Thriller, but it's still a great
I
album.
love that album.
So
I'm not
I
saying
guess
for
the-
us
I
as
guess the
fans,
difference
it's fine.
is-
The music
yeah.
was good, but I think Michael, it's one of those things that kind of messed with him. That he felt like, I don't know, I'm psychoanalyzing here, but maybe he felt like he failed when he couldn't hit those milestones. And it's like, you don't need to hit those milestones.
but
You're
when
Michael
you,
Jackson.
but if you're trying to hit those milestones, what you're basically saying, and I know that this is controversial, and some people think that artists shouldn't think this way, but some do, is that I'm going to make an album of hits, right? If you're going to get to 100 million, you're aiming for that. You're basically saying, I need to have an album with 10, 12, like radio hits. These
Right.
things are going to get played. Is that bad? I mean,
Well, it literally
the
was bad
fans-
in this case. It was the album Bad. But
Was
then,
bad.
but when you're kind of publicizing that, like this is what the goal is, and then it falls short of that, it looks like it failed, even though that was an incredibly successful
Right.
record. And he
so
chased
instead
it
you do the
forever.
Alanis thing where you go
Like,
like,
I don't
I'm
want
not
this.
aiming for that. And
And one band that very specifically was like, we don't want to be pop stars was late 2000s. Remember MGMT, the indie rock band that kind of added some synthesizers and pop elements and kicked off that early 2010s indie pop kind of thing. Their debut album, Oracular Spectacular, had 3 undeniable classic songs that to this day people love. They had Time to Pretend, Kids, and Electric Feel. I'm going to play Electric Feel because I'm going to dedicate this to Travis Kelce. I got to read you this. I love this.
Okay.
As people have been mining through Travis's old tweets, usually when you do that, it's something really problematic and
that's what they're looking for.
No, Travis, between November of 2009 and April of 2010, he tweeted at least 7 times about the song Electric Feel by MGMT. Things like, ha ha ha, yeah, Electric Feel is where it's at. YouTube that shit right now. I give out the electric feel. Then he said, Electric Feel at breakfast, then on my way to get bigger, stronger, faster, and mentally tougher in the weight room. Wake up to Motivation Monday with MGMT Electric Feel. Ooh, girl, shock me like an electric eel. Ha ha, MGMT. Also, in that last one, he spelled eel, E-A-L.
I mean, he's a football player. What do you want?
He did post another time before that where he spelled it right, so maybe that was just a typo. I don't know, but
He was just excitedly typing it.
he was excitedly typing. So Travis, this one's for you. This is Electric Feel.
Shock me like an electric eel. Baby girl.
I love that song.
I'm now every time I hear that song, I'm going to picture Travis with his headphones on, walking into the gym.
Yeah, in the weight room, get pumped. Ooh, girl. So MGMT, and there's people who think that they made those songs specifically as sort of a mockery of pop music because they are a weird indie, do their own thing kind of band. They did not aim to be pop stars.
Right.
And then they became pop stars. So they had everybody's attention. Everyone loved these songs. Those 3 songs in particular, they didn't listen to the rest of the album quite so much. So MGMT came out with their second album, Congratulations, and went full weird psychedelic rock, no radio singles. Ben Wasserman from the group actually told the New Musical Express, there definitely isn't a Time to Pretend or a Kids on the album. We've been talking about ways to make sure people hear the album as an album in order and not just figure out what are the 3 best tracks, download those, and not listen to the rest of it. They did not want to be pop stars. They did not want to crank out those songs. They didn't want that pressure on them. They didn't want to be celebrities like that. So once they had everyone's attention,
Then
they were like,
then they made their art piece.
yeah.
Right? This
And
is
it worked out for them because they still have those casual fans. The streams for those 3 songs are still huge. They will always be. They are classic songs. But then by deliberately sort of dumping that mainstreamy pop fan base, they whittled it down to like a hardcore, more culty fan base. They still release albums. They still tour. They still are successful as indie band levels of fame and success go.
if
They,
that was
they can coast off those 3 songs financially the rest of their lives. And now they can do whatever they want, and they have their diehard fans who are there for it. That's kind of a win. Not
Yes,
everybody wants
it's a
to be
win. I
Michael
mean, that
Jackson.
was their goal. That's what they wanted. The others, the success of those songs was a bonus. They didn't even aim for that.
There was no way to plan for that. And I've read this before too. I think it's interesting that I read an article once where somebody said when an artist comes out with a sound that kind of changes the game, then they decide, I don't want to be that person. All the imitators come in to get the hits. Like when Pearl Jam decided, we're not going to tour, we're not going to make videos. You saw all those post-grunge, late 90s bands that sounded a whole lot like Pearl Jam. Like, well, we'll do it.
Yeah.
After MGMT in the early 2010s was like, we're good. We don't need this. Empire of the Sun with Walking on a Dream. And then you had Capital Cities, Safe and Sound. All these indie synth pop bands were like, we'll do it. We'll get radio play and sell records. We don't care. And, but there was a demand for it.
Everybody's happy.
Everybody's
worked out
happy.
for everybody.
Worked out for everybody. Like we were saying, some people take too long. Like Fergie, her debut album, The Duchess. Remember that in 2006? And of course, she had the Black Eyed Peas in between. She had I Got a Feeling. Do you remember her second album, Double Duchess?
Double Duchess was the name of it? I don't, obviously.
Came out in 2017, 11 years after The Duchess.
I remember.
Too long, nobody cared.
Yeah, I remember talking about the album was coming out, and then I don't remember any.
There was a song called MILF Money. Maybe you can see why it wasn't a hit.
Yeah.
She waited too long. The moment passed. Music was very different in 2017. By then you had, Migos and Cardi B. Nobody was checking for Fergie Ferg at that point.
Yeah.
But then you can also not wait long enough. And that's the case that happened to poor old Hootie and the Blowfish,
So
I think.
you get caught in the jet wash, essentially, of your...
They burned people out. Like, you didn't give us a chance to miss you. So, of course, late 94, their album Cracked Review comes out. And into 95, along with Alanis Morissette that year, it was just a weird cultural juggernaut. I remember seeing an interview with the members of Hootie in late 95, by which time the album, I think it sold like 7 million copies. And they were like, we don't know who's still buying this. We assume it's people lost a copy and are rebuying it. And
that album is one of the most confounding albums in music
that
history
it was so big
to me. That it was... It's a good album.
It's a solid record.
You could even say a great record, but...
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the songwriting on it's really good. The musician is great.
It just, I don't know what was happening. And that was like my era. And I do remember like people playing it a lot. And I just always going, why? Why are they buying it and playing it in these numbers? Like
I had a copy of it on cassette. I bought it.
It wasn't like any revolutionary sound.
I think that's why, because people always say in the heart of gangsta rap and grunge and all these things and industrial and everything that was going on in the mid-90s, why did this bar band from South Carolina with these straightforward Bob Seger kind of pop rock songs? Because at that point, they were the alternative. Everything else had gone alternative and gotten so hardcore and so shocking and everything. And people were like, here's
nice
some
music.
happy, pleasant songs. And they just bought the crap out of it. To date, Cracked Review is certified 22 times platinum. It is one of the best-selling albums in history. It's wild.
It's crazy.
So it came out at the end of 94. The song Hold My Hand came out in 94. And then through 95, it just Only Want to Be With You and Let Her Cry. It was just a massive thing. Early 96, the last single from the album was a song called Time. Do you remember that song?
Yes, I do.
The week Time... Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, dude. Let's hear your Hootie impression.
It's all right.
Your Darius Rucker impression. The week that as time was moving down the charts, it was number 44 in the spring of 1996, towards the end of this year and a half of just Hootie mania. That's when they released the first single from their next album, their sophomore album, Fairweather Johnson. It was called Old Man and Me When I Get to Heaven. Debuted on the chart before the last single from the first album had even fallen off. And I feel bad for this song. It only got to number 13. I think it's a really good song. It just, people were getting a little Hootie burnout. This was Old Man and Me. Because that song could have been on the first album. And that's the thing. Somebody like Madonna was like, I'm going to reinvent and change. And, lots of artists, like we see the pop stars now, like, I got to reinvent myself and do a new sound.
Right, and you bring in a different producer and a different...
We see with the mania around Taylor Swift's new album, people are like, oh, it's going to be a straight pop album. What's it going to sound like? What's she going to do? Hootie, you knew what you were going to get. And you knew that Fairweather Johnson, that sophomore album, was just going to be exactly like Cracked Review. And it was. It did debut at number 1, sold 3 million copies, which is certainly not a failure.
No.
But 3 million compared to 22 million. And then the numbers just kind of
feels like a failure, right?
Going down from there. I think they just didn't give people a chance to miss them.
Yeah.
Although...
Definitely was burnout. Although I do
still
remember...
love them. They have a song in the top 50 this week, by the way.
What?
Actually, it might be top 40 today. The numbers haven't come out yet. Do you remember Scotty McCreery, the American Idol winner in
Sure.
2011, who has a country career? He has a song out now called Bottle Rockets, and it's
Oh.
featuring Hootie and the Blowfish. And I was like, okay, it's called Bottle Rockets. Is it actually a new song? Is it? I mean, country songs don't
Right.
sample. I don't know if I could call it a cover or a sample or an interpolation, but it's all of them and
See a
none
previous
of them.
episode for,
Yeah.
for the definitions of those.
Scotty McCreery is talking about, in the summer and all this, and then, listening to the radio to Hold My Hand, and then Hootie and the Blowfish come in singing Hold My Hand, but it's a new recording. It's them playing on the song, playing their old song, and then they just do the chorus, and then in one verse, they just do the whole verse from Hold My Hand. I'm like,
Wow.
but they get a feature credit. It is a new recording. It is them playing on it.
Well,
So
there you
it's
go.
Their first hit in 20-some years.
I bet, by the way, the one thing I do remember about that sophomore album from them is that we all had a nice giggle at that age about the title.
Fairweather Johnson. I know, it seemed...
And so it was almost like we wanted it to be a really good album.
Well, you thought, is it going to be some subversive, jokey, dirty thing? No, it was a reference to
No,
Fairweather fans.
Right.
Which, what turns out they had quite a few of them. And then retroactively, Cracked Review became about a butt crack. Remember that? It was
Yes.
like, oh, other albums are... Nah, it wasn't
No.
that. But yeah, they just... I wonder if they had waited like 2 or 3 years. But by then, you're hitting the late 90s and music has changed again.
Exactly. The sound would have changed.
I mean, you've got DMX out at that point. You've got Britney Spears out at that point. What?
But the good thing for them is that if they had waited, even if music changed, like as we said when with their debut, it was just different from everything else, and so everyone wanted it. So it might have. I think you're right. That was.
But then
a
you
case
had a
where
whole lot of bands that sounded like them, like Edwin McCain and all
Yeah,
those
that's
artists
true.
that sort of Sean Mullins. These
Then you
guys
got to
that
deal
came
with
out.
all the
Right.
copycats.
All right, the last one we're going to talk about quickly, because this one's the depressing one, is the artist who either never made a second album or the second album was it. Of course, they're the tragic ones. Amy Winehouse, who Back to Black was actually her second album. Frank was her debut. Notorious B.I.G., his second album was a posthumous release. Joy Division, Graham Parsons, Jeff Buckley, all these artists made one great album, or maybe two, and then they died.
Otis Redding.
Otis Redding. Then there are those, somebody who actually did this twice. One artist kind of did it twice. The Fugees come out in 94 with their album Blunted to Unreality. Fairly successful, not huge. Then 96, they dropped The Score. Incredible album,
Jesus.
Killing Me Softly. Fugees don't make another album because Lauryn Hill went solo. She releases Miseducation, one of the greatest albums of all time.
Huge.
Never makes a
Never
second
makes
album.
a second album.
How do you a 1 or 2 album wonder twice? She just never made it.
Never wanted to.
Fine Young Cannibals, after they blew up in 89.
Yeah.
She Drives Me Crazy, Good Thing.
Did they do another album?
They had an album before that. That was their sophomore
Okay.
album. And then they broke up in 92. So, I don't know. But we finally got Cardi. Maybe that Lauryn Hill album's finally going to come.
Yeah. I mean, look, we
30
got
years
her,
later, maybe
we
get
got
it.
her out last year when her son's song was blowing up, and she said, "Yeah, we're still. It's still a possibility.
And I think,
Will it
honestly,
ever happen? I don't know.
I don't know if
but
it'll ever happen,
I-
but as a testament to how beloved and how big Miseducation was, I mean, this album, if she released a new album now, of course it's not going to be what that was, but people would show up first week purely out of curiosity. Like after 26, 27 years, what does she finally have to say? People would show up.
Yeah. Oh,
because-
they would absolutely show up. Now she wouldn't show up.
she'd show up about 3 hours late. So,
As
so
is sort
Cardi,
of our,
you've got options here.
yes, absolutely. By the way, as is our tradition here when we're going through lists like this, once again, Eric has dissed my favorite band.
Whoa.
You left out the Black Crowes, whose sophomore album, actually the sales were bigger on
It debuted at number 1, yeah. Southern Harmony and Musical
Southern
Companion.
Harmony and Musical
It was
Companion,
huge.
which I still maintain is the best American rock band album of the last 40 years.
Interesting.
Still is. Fight me.
But then you
Fight me.
oh,
And you left
over Nirvana and all the grunge stuff.
Yep.
You're going Black Crowes. I mean, I love the Black Crowes. I'm not going to fight with you. But I don't know that they dropped off on that. I mean, Amorica was a drop-off.
Yes, it was.
That was maybe more of an intentional one.
I just think the sophomore album, they didn't have the sophomore curse. They beat that, and then after that.
But also grunge happened. It kind of music
Right.
got weird. I don't know.
Anyway, this is, more Black Crowes disrespect.
I love the Black
Eric,
Crowes.
Eric's
What are you
always
talking
just
about?
dishing it out here. It's fine. That's going to do it for us.
Charles doesn't like Beyonce.
What? That's not true. That is a lie. We'll see you next time on Get to the Hook. I love Beyonce.